A top AEW star is taking time off. Plus, we have an update on Seth Rollins' injury status and how this has led to some scrapped plans for SummerSlam this year. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Big Willie and Swerve Strickland beat the Young Bucks at All In.
I don't think so, Tom.
It's just the way I'm sat.
You medium boy, you.
I can predict the future, you're correct. And I predict that Will Ospreay is going to be having a lie-in for a couple of weeks after he and Swerve won their match at All In. He got a chair in the head in an awkward position across his neck, courtesy of Claudio, and that writes him off.
Yeah, Fightful are having the big scoop today. They're saying we're told that Will Ospreay has been working banged up and expected to take some time off. Those we spoke to believe they will be out for over a month, but an exact timetable isn't known. Yes, Hangman Page was out there thanking everyone associated with the Death Riders feud. Will Ospreay is one of them, and he's like, well, even those lads who can't be with us today. So it does hint that Will is going to be missing for a little bit of time there.
And I'm not surprised. The speed and the energy that Will delivers in his matches. I'm not it's a fast track to having moments like this. So he's going to need a bit of a recovery time so he can come back at full speed.
Yeah, I just imagine he lives life in just uncompromising positions at all times. On these flights I take from the UK to America every week. He's just got his hands against the walls of the toilet in the aeroplane, having a wee upside down, just because he's Will Ospreay, the aerial assassin.
Hurricane Rana on the stewardess. Says that's Will on a flight. He's just a wild boy.
I asked for peanuts.
He did ask for peanuts. Not from AEW though. He's making a mint from them, and I'm looking forward to seeing him back very, very soon. Adam Copeland made his big return, which you talked about on AEW All In WTF moments.
I did more than that, Tom. I went for a 7-mile run around this office trying to take the piss out of Cope. Shades of Jeff Hardy and Penta. More recently, of course, Cope coming to save his best friend, but make sure he gets his SH1T in before he gets down to the ring.
But is it his best friend, though? Because he kind of sort of explains away why he took his sweet time at All In this promo where he was asked, like, hey, were you coming out to save Christian Cage? To which he said, no. And then, gave us a list of all the awful things that Christian Cage has done to him and around him since then. And he hopes that during his time away, Christian Cage can pull his giant cranium out of his ass.
Yeah, then he reveals the real reason he came back at All In was to get his hands on FTR, who he was speaking about Foreman rated FTR while he was still in another company.
Oh, what company would that be?
Toys R Us. He was stacking shelves for a couple of weeks there. He had to make ends meet, so he did it between the WWE run and the AEW run.
Well, there was millions of Jeffrey all under one roof as Adam Copeland addressed FTR. Here comes Stokely Hathaway. And he says 3 anonymous emails were sent to AEW management about the misconduct of Adam Copeland. Consequently, there is now an injunction out on Adam Copeland. We do love an injunction in wrestling. And if he lays a hand on FTR, then he is fired.
However, Stoke didn't mention that if Cope put his hands on him, then Cope would be buggered by the powers that be. So you'll never guess what happens, everybody. Stoke eats a spear and Cope stands tall on this day.
We are still doing the slow build to Cope and Cage. With FTR. That's got to be the way that we go.
Yeah. But I do hope that Christian Cage keeps being an arsehole and Cope keeps trying to make him a nice guy, but they never quite get there.
Oh, yeah. I don't want it to ever be like a fully fledged, full-on tag team return. I want it to always have that little edge to it. Pun intended. Let's go to WWE. Seth Rollins suffering an injury at Saturday night's main event. We're still kind of waiting on the complete results from that, but he was on the Rich Eisen show with Seth Rollins. Gave us a bit of a bleak outlook, to be honest.
Yeah, he says, no, I'm not going to bother doing the voice. He says, when I landed, I felt my knee pop and buckle. On Monday, I was in Birmingham, Alabama, where our specialists were at. We took a look at the knee through imaging. It was a little too swollen, so we'll take another look, hopefully in a week or two, that we can get a firm diagnosis and go from there.
He says, this is going to have me out for an extended period of time. We were talking off air earlier. It's a bummer, but our business moves on. It isn't the first time I was injured, and it's not the last time. So that was kind of the big fear, was that it would be something that would get him off our screens for a while. But in terms of how long that's going to be, he's given a hopeful estimated return.
Yeah, he says, I've always got WrestleMania in the back of my mind. I'm like, can I make it back for WrestleMania season? I feel good about that, but beyond a firm timeline, I just don't know until we get a better answer on the MRI. So that's where it's at. So we've got to have a little scan, or a big scan, a juicy scan, and then find out what we do from there on out.
So WrestleMania looking to be where we get a Seth Rollins return match or return story completed, and that's devastating, because we're not even at SummerSlam yet, and it means that this big story, that was going to be centered around Seth Rollins and the Money in the Bank briefcase, is on pause until then. Now, thankfully, because of the nature of the Money in the Bank briefcase, which Paul Heyman addressed, he's got until June to do something with it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to hotshot the Money in the Bank briefcase onto somebody else.
Yeah.
I would imagine that this is something that they can keep Seth Rollins on TV. Where there's chaos, there's opportunity. This is a real moment for Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed to step into some big main event positions, though.
Especially next month, as we'll get onto the next story. But when it comes to Seth Rollins, you can tell he will be gagging to get back for WrestleMania. Because there has been a couple of big WrestleManias, 2016 and one more recently, obviously, that he has missed, that he obviously would have been a feature part of. And it always seems to happen like around WrestleMania season for him and his knee.
Yeah, he barely got to WrestleMania 40. He suffered an injury back in January at the start of 24, sorry. And it was touch and go there. Like, I kept him on a really light schedule, and then he had the match, and he seems to be in a lot of pain on that whole weekend. So he just barely made it there. It'd be nice to see a fresh Seth Rollins competing at WrestleMania 42, but it is a shame. In terms of what we were going to see, well, we saw Roman Reigns return on Monday Night Raw, and it looked as if there was something in the waters for them, and it's now been confirmed, hasn't it?
Yeah, Wrestling Observer Radio was saying the original plans for SummerSlam was to have Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, because I was thinking, is the Roman Reigns return off the back of the Seth Rollins injury, just with the whole stable thing going on? Because you're thinking maybe CM Punk's being involved. Could Rollins have been Gunther's original opponent for SummerSlam? But according to the WOR, no, this is the plan all along, don't you worry.
This was where they were going to be going. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. And it's a 2-night SummerSlam, so you're going to really need to bulk out with some big money matches. And that would have been Roman's first match back since WrestleMania, since the screw job from Paul Heyman in the main event at night one. You know, you had Paul Heyman threatening to burn down the island of relevancy, and you could still kind of do that, but what we're getting instead is Roman Reigns teaming with Jey Uso to face Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed.
The Goons!
So that's what we're getting instead. Obviously, we'd love to have seen a Roman Seth run out once again, because there's some great story that you could tell between those two, but at least for the time being, it's not going to be. So from there, I mean, what do you do with Roman Reigns? Because obviously, facing the Goon Squad gets you to SummerSlam, but then beyond there...
Well, you would think maybe the Goons would get the win at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
That would elongate Roman Reigns' necessity to be an on-screen character for a period of time, because obviously now he needs to get his own back on the Goons who felled him at SummerSlam.
That's it, yeah. So which of the Goons would we love to see pin Roman?
All signs point to the orange one of the two Goons.
The orangest,
not the natural disasterish one. No. The orange one.
So, I mean, a battle of the spears seems appropriate, and then maybe a pay-per-view match with Bron Breakker and Roman Reigns seems quite tasty. Yeah, this again, chaos and opportunity being the same concept. This could be something that expedites Bron Breakker's push to the top. Very, very likely. There was talk as well a few weeks ago that there was plans already kind of being put together for a story that would see Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins split apart and see Bron take Paul Heyman in the divorce, and we could maybe see that story expedited a little bit in the absence of Seth Rollins.
And it could be built up until Seth Rollins comes back, and then maybe the night Rollins comes back, that's when the trigger is pulled, so to speak, Tom.
There's a lot of possibility out of it. But of course, the main thing is we wish Seth Rollins a full and speedy recovery, because it sucks that it's happened at this pivotal time, but the industry will go on, and we look forward to seeing him back in the ring very, very soon. Bless you. You are recording what might be the longest Cultaholic Wrestling podcast ever today.
Yeah, we're doing all of the events from the weekend. So SmackDown, Evolution, Great American Bash, All In, Raw, NXT, Dynamite. Have I missed any? I feel like I've missed one, and I can't remember. They're all going to be there. Me and Matthew having a great time.
I'll tell you how big a thing this is, right? Normally, me and Matthew, we record the classic SmackDown review today. We're meant to be recording it in about an hour's time. Matthew said, can we record it on Wednesday? Because I think I'm going to need all my energy for Thursday. So Matt and I recorded a new SmackDown review. That'll be on the podcast feed and on the page on Saturday. And then you've got just a blockbuster of a show.
Saturday's main event. That's the one I forgot. Yeah, that's the one I forgot.
Always going to be. And you forgot Supercard of Honor. But then again,
shut up.
We all did. Sorry. Michael Oku was on that, and that was the best part. Anyway, for the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.